Oh, right. Are we live right now? Let me see. I think we missed the intro there, but that's okay. That's not a problem. If you're here and you can see me and you're viewing me, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and we'll go ahead and we'll kick this thing off. Cool. I'm not seeing any comments coming through yet. Just want to make sure we're actually live here. I believe we are. It says that we are. We'll find out. Good morning, Alice. Good morning. Okay, awesome. Good. This is I'm kind of like sitting here like deer in the headlights, not knowing what's going on. Paul, good morning. Welcome on in. Awesome. Good stuff. Cool. Sorry if I'm looking all the way to the right. I got your comments over here on the right side, but awesome. Welcome on in, everybody. So as you can tell, I'm in my office back in Florida today. We were in Austin, Texas. I was there from Wednesday of last week up until about, we flew out of there around 6 o'clock last night, and I got home to my house around 10:30. So, we're back. It's good to be home. It's good to sleep in my own bed. It's always nice. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather a little bit today. Kind of got some scratchiness, some congestion going on. Some of the little annoying stuff that it always seems to happen when I travel. It always seems to either, like right when you get there or right when you get back, something kind of kicks up. You're in all these new areas. You're breathing different air in. I don't know what really happens, but you get a little bit of that, but that's okay. We're going to push through and we'll be fine. We'll be just fine. So, because I'm actually not me personally, I'm really not a happy traveler. I'm good on the trip, and I love going to different places and seeing different things and doing these events. But when we're talking about the hauling of the luggage and the going through the airport and I'm not a happy camper doing none of that. Let me tell you, I'm a miserable little troll when I travel, but that's okay. Also, I need a chiropractor. My lower back did a lot of standing, a lot of walking around, a lot of running around. Got it in my shoulders, got it in my back, got it in my hips. I'm just like getting old, I guess. I don't know what it is. I'm just getting really, really old. I know that usually triggers whenever I say that. It triggers some of the people that are a lot older than me. I'm only 29, so whenever I say I'm getting old, people are like, "Oh, you're not getting old." But I feel like I'm getting old. But anyways, I take a whole lot of pride in the reputation that I've built for myself as this person that's really, really patient and can work with anybody. And so if you've got, frustrations or you get, impatient at times, for me, that's traveling. When I'm just unhappy and just gruntled and just, man. And I say, as long as you've got, there's things to do on camera to maintain and build the reputation that you want. And then there's things you could also do off camera that's behind closed doors that nobody's ever going to know about. And I'm totally for anything you need to do to kind of keep your sanity and keep yourself from sabotaging your reputation to the public when you're speaking to your audience, right? So, and for me, I've definitely got that switch. I get it when I'm driving down the road. I get it when I'm, trying to make a cup of coffee and I got to hit the button 6 times. And it's like, oh my God, and I could just snap sometimes. But on camera, I'm really, really good at at masking a lot of that stuff. So cool. I've been rambling on long enough. Let's kind of get into what we're going to talk about today. So flew in really, really late last night, and the event was incredible. It didn't give me a ton of opportunity to really prep something really, really hot for you guys this morning. So the best thing to do in a situation like that is to kind of just fall back on something that I know is going to be valuable to you guys, and I know is going to be helpful to anybody that's watching this morning. So today I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a Q&A, and I'm going to start it off in a certain way. So if you guys have any particular questions for me, we could treat this kind of like a support 101. If you want to go ahead and drop those in the comments, I have them open here on the right. And I'll keep an eye out for anything that comes through, and I'll see if there's any particular questions that I can answer for you. I do have an FAQ document that I kind of threw together that is just, something that was not too extensive, something off the top of my mind, the most frequently asked questions that you guys ask me a lot. And as I was kind of creating those, it sort of something came to mind that I think could be a really good discussion. So I've been, coaching with Legendary for going on. Well, I've been an affiliate marketer and in marketing and in, this space for going on 4 years. Came in and joined Legendary back in 2021 or 2022, I believe, 2022, I want to say. And in that time, I've done over 2,000 coaching sessions, right? And that's just one-to-one. That's not uh, counting the group sessions or counting live webinars or counting things like this. That's just how many meetings were scheduled on my calendar that were private sessions. That was just me and one other person. So at the event this past weekend, we did on day one what we call like a legendary team panel. So basically, of course it was Dave and myself, and then we had our mentors, Bonnie, Dawn, and Eric, also came on stage, and we all got the mic. And Dave asked us some questions. We shared a lot of insight, and we were just kind of talking about different elements of what it's like to be on the team, right? Different working in this space, working so closely with rock star entrepreneurs every single day. It's not like working with your coworkers at your job, right? Wherever you may work, it's not the same to any degree. The communication all these people have with one another is top notch. It's phenomenal. The amount of positivity and the amount of energy, within our team is just absolutely incredible. And if it's anything you ever get to experience, being able to work with a team like that, it's absolutely life-changing. So while we were, and that's what we kind of talked about, but while we were on that stage, Dave had asked me a question. The first question he had asked me that we kind of talked about up there was, after doing all these calls, what's the number one thing that most students come to you with? What's that main thing that you see across, if it's not everybody, the majority, right? And there's so many ways that I could have answered that question. But really what it was overthinking and then uncertainty, right? That's probably the number one thing that people struggle with when they come to me. In whether it be in a group meeting or it be in a one-to-one setting or it be under any kind of forum where they have access to me and they can ask me questions about their business. It's going to be dealing with uncertainty and overthinking. And I wanted to elaborate on the answer that I gave because I think it's very, very valuable, and I know it applies to a lot of the people that are here. So really the biggest thing about this is a lot of times you're not even really stuck. You're just distracted, right? So you're putting too much weight on things that don't move the needle one way or another. And what matters is that you actually get launched, right? So, and really the biggest form of this type of distraction is when you start getting into that, should I do this or should I do that type of questions, or always looking for that recommendation or always looking for that opinion from somebody, even if the person you might be asking isn't even really somebody that is, even if that is something that was asked, you might be getting answers even from people that aren't even qualified to answer that question, aren't qualified to make that recommendation. They might be in the same exact position as you are, and here you are taking advice from somebody that's saying, "Oh, this is a lot better," or "That's a lot better." And in a lot of cases, the reality is that both of the answers might be right. Neither one of them are wrong, in other words. So, and this might look like, should I use System.io or should I use ClickFunnels? Really, the answer is yes. You should use one of them, right? But where I see a lot of people get stuck, right? And I'll put that in quotes because I don't want to say it's stuck. I want to say you're allowing yourself to get distracted by something that's not moving the needle for you. We shouldn't spend days at a time trying to figure out what funnel builder we should use. Really, we should just get launched. We know we need a funnel builder. Let's pick one and go, right? This also could look like, should I use Instagram or TikTok? Or what time should I post? Should I post at this time or that time? The answer is yes, right? Both answers are right. Neither one of those things are going to be wrong, but a lot of new entrepreneurs tend to get stuck on some of these things. And really what it is it's not that you're stuck. It's just you're doing something new. So you're battling with a little uncertainty, and there's probably an issue there with confidence that you're going to make the right decision. And, if you're somebody that's asked these types of questions in the past, it doesn't make you a stupid person, right? It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean any of the other negative things you could possibly think of because, we're having this conversation and, oh, I've asked these questions in the past. Oh my God. It's not that. It's my goal right now by talking about this is to help you to kind of get into the frame of mind that, wait a minute, I'm sitting here contemplating or debating on something that really there's not a wrong answer, right? I can use Instagram or I can use TikTok. They're both the right answer. They're both going to be hard. They're both going to work once you get them to work. There's not a so if you're in a position where you're just starting out and you've not launched your business yet, and you're kind of holding off because, well, I don't know what funnel builder I should use. I don't know what platform I should use. You're focusing on things that are not going to move the needle for you. You're focusing on things that are going to keep you in sort of this stuck. And if you let that become a pattern, then you're going to consistently be sort of battling with these little nuanced things that really just don't matter. And a really common theme, pretty much across the entirety of the mastermind event, all the speakers talked about this either directly or indirectly. Dave talked about it quite extensively, and I talked about it a lot behind the scenes, not only on stage, but behind the scenes when I was networking with a lot of the guests who attended, a lot of our members who were there. And this really common theme is that a lot of these little things 6 months from now, they're not even going to matter in the slightest. What you did today is not going to make a difference as far as right, what funnel builder did I choose, right? Because if you decide to get System.io, for example, and you say, you know what, I don't really like this, you can switch, right? If you decide to go on Instagram today and you decide, you know what, I don't really like this, I think I'm going to switch to TikTok. You're not failing because you're making bad decisions. Ultimately, nobody can really tell you what's going to be the best thing for you. You've got to figure it out on your own. So the best thing to do is really just make a decision and to just go with it, right? Just run with it. And because a lot of this business is going to be testing, right? So if you're not testing anything, you're just kind of always looking for somebody to make a recommendation so you can move forward. Well, eventually you're going to have a business that was just kind of duct taped together. That's not really, based on any kind of decisiveness of your own, if that makes sense, right? So the best way, I would say, right, the advice I'd give right now to somebody who might be struggling, and I'm not sitting here trying to say that this is something you can just turn off, right? You can't just magically have confidence and just magically say, you know what, I'm going to make the best decisions moving forward. You can just say, all right, I'm not going to get stuck on anything and I'm just going to decide and do stuff. But the thing I would say to kind of keep in the back of your mind, if you're somebody that's struggling with this, is to just acknowledge that you can't see into the future, so you don't know what's going to happen, but I'll arrive at the answer organically eventually. Okay, let me say that one more time. If you're somebody that's kind of dealing with this, oh, should I do this or that? Or I'm not wanting to move forward because I don't want to make a bad choice, right? I can't see into the future, so I don't know if what I'm about to do is going to be the right answer or the wrong answer or one of the right answers. I'm going to find the right answer organically eventually, right? Because I can't think of a possible situation in this business that's equal to you standing on the edge of a cliff about ready to fall off, right? If you're standing on the edge of a cliff, a massive cliff, the Grand Canyon with a huge drop, and you decide I'm going to step off the edge, that's a decision that you can't take back. So if you regret it as you're going down, there's nothing you can do about it. There is not a single situation, I believe, that I've come across, right? There's not a single situation I've come across in this business that puts you in a position like that, right? That puts you in a position like that. Now, in other traditional types of businesses, there certainly can be, right? Like a brick and mortar thing, or, maybe you make a bad deal, or maybe, and it bankrupts your business, or, whatever. That can be like, okay, I've got to really make sure I got to consult with professionals, and I do the right thing, and I really research this. And even then I'm still uncertain, but I still have to make a decision in that moment. There's nothing in this business you can do that's going to put you in a position equivalent to what I just described, right? And Courtney here says action creates clarity, and I think that's kind of the perfect way to sort of summarize all this, right? So thank you for that, Courtney. That's awesome. But yeah, action's going to create clarity, making the decisions and actually moving forward with things. Because one of the things we were talking about too is we're spending a lot of time when we get started looking at tomorrow, right? We're looking at tomorrow, we're looking at the next hour, we're looking at the next 20 minutes. Really, we need to, start thinking about how all of these decisions group together, what that's going to result in 6 months from now. Because you can make a whole lot of progress in 6 months, and you can make a whole lot more in 12 months. And there's certainly things you can do along the way that are going to amplify or multiply the results you're able to get in that amount of time. But one thing that will definitely limit the results, one thing that's going to lower your ceiling by a ton, is going to be just kind of sitting there and allowing yourself to overthink and just be so uncertain with every decision that you make, like it's life or death, right? None of these things that we talk about in our training is life or death, or in this business is going to be life or death. You may have multiple options in a lot of instances, and we can look at this at that as a blessing, because now we have many more things that we can test and we can try. So that's kind of the elaborate sort of method, right? Don't put too much weight on anything that you're doing today. Just know that it needs to be done in order to eventually arrive at the answer, right? And then I think how I'd top that off with a nice bow on it is just by saying, you're going to be wrong. But it may not necessarily be wrong. It might just be less right than the thing you end up doing for the long term, right? So don't beat yourself up over doing things that don't work. Don't beat yourself up over and let yourself feel like a failure because I did something and it didn't work, right? You can today, even if you're brand new, even if you decide to go buy our 5-day challenge as soon as we get done with this Wake Up Legendary episode, and you haven't even started yet and you're just kind of on the fence, right? What's the harm in just making that decision and going in and just saying, you know what, I'm going to go and grab this training and I'm going to go through it and I'm going to see if it's for me. I'm going to see if I like it. I'm going to see if I get fired up and motivated and to do something totally different that I've never done before, right? I'm interested to see how many of you in the comments here today actually have purchased our products, and how long did it take you to make the decision to actually finally go into our 5-day challenge? Or maybe it was for some of our OGs, maybe it was our 15-day challenge, which we archived back in early 2024, right? Because we made some updates and then we launched the 5-day challenge. I talk to people all the time that sat on the fence, right? They had, right? There was yes and no right in front of them. And it's like, what am I going to do? And really, it's not a big decision, right? Really, it's not a big decision. And I think what people battle with a lot of times with a decision like that is really just feeling like, am I going to be able to do this? Am I capable of doing this? And then the only reason you may begin to feel like after getting started, oh, I can't do this, is because you're letting that uncertainty and you're letting that maybe that lack of feeling like you've gotten any wins sort of get to you. And that's the biggest form. I mean, that's the biggest form of self-sabotage you can do, right? Imagine, I'm like, I could have done that, right? I could have, because I had struggles in the day. If we go into my ClickFunnels account, you're going to see, I maxed it out, right? ClickFunnels Classic, they give you 20 funnels that you can build, right? And then I had to delete a bunch of them. I can't even tell you how many I've deleted just to make room for more. over the past 4 years, just because I'm trying different things and looking to figure out what's going to work. What's the thing I wanted to do? And then I bounced around. I was doing paid ads, and I was doing stuff in the woodworking niche. And then I was doing the software niche. And then I was doing teaching people how they can start businesses. And then I was, and a whole bunch. I did some weight loss stuff. I've dabbled in a lot of them. I did dog training stuff. I did a lot of different stuff, and I was successful to a degree with everything. Right. So there is a dog training offer I promoted, and my wife, actually, who may even be watching this behind the scenes, we've got a golden retriever. She made a page to put our dog on there, just a dog page. Everybody likes to watch dogs, so you get a lot of views there. It's kind of cool. And I said, you know what? Let me see if I could promote some products there. And I did, and it worked, right? It wasn't quit your job success. It wasn't massive breakthrough. Oh my God, this is the life-changing thing that I'm going to do. But it was something that I tried, right? It was something that had no downside to it, right? She was building that page for fun. There wasn't any type of messaging there that was really going to lead to a sale. Right. But I said, you know what? I'm going to throw this funnel on there. I'm going to create a small email sequence. I got a really cool product that I think that people watching this content would buy. Let me put it on there and see what happens. There's ways I could have stuck with that and really optimized it and made it better. Right. But it wasn't the wrong decision because it didn't make me $1 million. Right. It was still a right decision. It worked. It led to a result that I was going for. Right. But there was other answers that were more right than that one. There was other answers that got me more of what I wanted. And maybe it could have been totally different. Maybe, who knows? Maybe if I really had a deep level of interest in that, I would have really ran with it. And I would have sat here today and said, oh, the dog training niche is the best one in the world. Right. And I'm not saying that it's not for the right person, but for me, that just wasn't the answer. That wasn't the thing that I wanted to really go with. So that's something that I want you to really burn into your brain, because that is the killer of new entrepreneurs. Is you let a single failure make you into a failure. And that's just not the case, right? And really, it's a lot of small failures along the way. It's a lot of small wins along the way. Really, a failure to me is still a win, because I can learn from it. I can get more insight. I can pick up things from that are going to allow me to do better and make more progress in the future. So that was kind of a huge theme at this particular event. And it has been a theme in previous events too, mastermind events. But at this event in particular, it was a massive theme that was just resonating and vibrating the entire room. Was that, getting stuck and not making progress and not moving forward because you're afraid of what potential negative outcome you might experience, when in reality the major negative outcome is just no outcome at all, because you didn't do anything because you were so uncertain and indecisive, right? So again, if you're one of these people, right, that's kind of battling with this uncertainty, I'm going to say the same thing I said before. I'm going to say it again, right? What really matters is that you can't see into the future, and just acknowledging that. And eventually I'm going to arrive at the answer if I continue to try hard enough. That's really what it boils down to. And that's the thing that's right. The thing that's kept me going, right? That's the thing that's kept me going, right? You want to hear from somebody who's feels like a major success, who's gotten everything they expected and wanted to get. And whenever there was a new level up that I wanted, and whenever there was a new bit of progress I wanted to make, and how was I going to get there? Right. I did the steps and did the things, right? It wasn't just like, okay, I knew what to do. Like I had this crystal ball and it was magical, or I had some kind of secret sauce or insight that nobody else had. No, it was just, I made the decisions that I knew were going to get me to where I wanted to be eventually. Right. and ideally, right, with wasting as little amount of time as possible. Some of those decisions, right, now looking back, there's definitely decisions I would take back. There's definitely decisions that, even some expensive decisions, right? Invested into different trainings and stuff that was, right, looking back, right, it's something that helped. Maybe it didn't do everything that I wanted, but again, it was an opportunity to grab a little insight, grab a little value, move forward, and get me closer to where I wanted to be, right? But if I just said no to all those things and I'm like, yeah, I'm uncertain, I don't know what's going to happen, right? What if I don't get a return on my investment or something like that, whether it's an investment of money or time? What if I don't get a return on it? Well, I mean, sometimes the return's not always monetary. Sometimes the return is insight, and then the monetary return comes later from something else that you did that you might not have done or you might not have known to do because you didn't make a decision, right? So that's kind of my whole point here. And a lot of times, for me along the way, right, I invested into a lot of coaching. I was coached by Legendary before I was a coach at Legendary. That played a massive role in me getting to, where I am today. It also played a massive role in me deciding, right? One of these decisions I made was, holy crap, this is like a different breed of people that I've never experienced before. Right. Because remember, I came from like a blue collar kind of background. I was a heavy equipment mechanic. I was working with guys that thought that getting up at 4 a.m. and working until midnight was a flex. And then they go home and they fight with their wives and they're just miserable and their house is a mess and they're filthy all the time and they only shower twice a week. And these were the type of guys where I'm like, man, this is what business is like. This is, man, I gotta be working them 16, 18-hour days. I gotta have the best equipment. I gotta have the best paint and all the stickers on my truck. So that way when I'm driving through town, people know it's me. Right. And then I got introduced to some different people that look at business a little bit differently. And my mind very quickly started to change. It played a massive influence. It had a massive amount of influence on things I started to do, things I did differently, just because I put myself in the right room with the right people. So that was a decision that I made that I wanted to experience it, but I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And it could have went many ways. It could have been an awful experience. I didn't know at the time of making the decision, but I knew it was something that I wouldn't know the answer to unless I just made a decision and moved forward with it. So, hopefully that resonates. I'm reading your comments here kind of, so I'm not kind of going back and forth on the screen trying to look at the camera and also look at the I know I said I was going to answer some of your questions and then I kind of went on a tangent there. There should be a PDF that got dropped into the comments for you guys to take a look at some of those frequently asked questions. And it's just basic stuff. Don't have any major expectations grabbing that. There's not going to be any breakthrough information there, but some of the most common kind of points where people get stuck. I'm like, all right, what are the little nuanced things that that are going to be relevant to this conversation? Let me just throw them on here. So that way you can really more or less not necessarily get the answers to the questions, but get an idea of the type of questions and not the type of questions, but the type of things you can get stuck on that really you shouldn't let yourself get stuck on, because it is ultimately hindering your progress. And again, it boils down to just, are both answers right? Are both answers right? Right? Should I choose System.io or ClickFunnels? Yes. Don't get stuck on trying to, post something and compare and contrast and wait for somebody to, are you starting an affiliate marketing business? Okay. System.io or ClickFunnels? Yeah, just pick one, right? Just don't get caught up and let that become a distraction, because the moment you get distracted, you start losing money, right? The moment you get distracted, you start losing money because you're losing time. And then that time should be used to make progress in getting you towards your goals. And I have to do a shameless plug here too, because such a big part of this is, right, part of some of the very best decisions I've made. The best decision I've made, and in fact, the single-handedly best decision I've ever made is making the decision to get myself put in a room consistently with the people who have what I want to have, or have been where I want to be, and dealt with the problems that I either am dealing with or am going to deal with, right? There's always, every time you take a step forward, there's a new set of problems that arrive. And if you're always in the room with people that have dealt with those problems, wow, what an advantage that gives you. What an advantage that gives you. And there's certain rooms you can be in where all the people are stuck, even though it looks like they've got it figured out. They might talk like they've got it figured out. They might act like they've got it figured out, right? And I thought I was in the right room when I was with the blue collar crowd, right? I thought I was in the right room with the blue collar business guys, right? And these guys, and I looked up to these guys, and I did learn a lot from them. I was in the right room in some respects, but I was in the wrong room for a lot of really major reasons. And look, maybe they genuinely do like that lifestyle where they just, they never, I mean, if somebody wants to flex that I worked 90 hours this past week, and the government took half of my overtime, and that's, believe me, some of you are probably laughing. That's just the truth, right? This is the truth. These guys would brag about how much got taken out of their check because they worked so much overtime. And that was something where I'm just like, this just doesn't, there's gotta be like, why is that something we're bragging about? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Am I supposed to get excited about that? Am I supposed to? I mean, maybe it's just a way of kind of coping in a sense where it's like, so I don't lose my mind because I look at the stub and I'm like, oh my God, right? Man, look at how much I don't get to keep, right? And I'm not saying that by doing, again, we're getting into something different now, but this is just sort of an example of being in a room that I thought was the right room, but it wasn't the right room. And I didn't learn that until I actually got into the right room. Right. So put yourself in the right room. That was one of the best decisions I've ever made, because the fastest way and the best way to level up in life, in business, in mindset, and also just keeping yourself motivated, keeping yourself inspired, and keeping yourself moving forward in the right direction is by being in the room with people that have very similar goals or have accomplished the goals that you want to accomplish. So if before I ramble on too long here, because I've been going for a good 30 minutes here, going hot. If you guys want to get into the right room, and you want to be able to talk to people regularly, and you want to be able to always have an open conversation with people that are in the room, and you want to go, right? If you're here watching this, it's because you got places you need to be. It's because you got places you want to go, and you got things you want to do, and you got a business you want to launch, and you got a business that you might be struggling with in some respects, and some things that you might be having a hard time with, right? Listen, all you have to do is, maybe we can put this as a banner at the bottom of the screen, whoever's backstage here. We do free meetings with our mentors, right? Bonnie, Dawn, and Eric. I mentioned their names earlier. I got to hang out with them all weekend. It's always incredible every time I get to hang out with them. And they're just a wealth of knowledge and insight, and they're super passionate, and they love what they do. It's incredible to see how they get to interact with people they've been working with, because a lot of the people at this event have been working with one of those three individuals for the past 6 months or maybe more. And it's just incredible to see how that relationship has been built, and how they interact with them, and just how it's not like you're meeting, it's not like you're meeting a teacher in a classroom. It's like it's almost like you're in a boardroom with a business partner, right? So if you want to go to, you can go to legendarymarketer.com/dirty30, right? legendarymarketer.com/dirty30. One of them will get on a meeting with you for free for 30 minutes. It'll be a video meeting. Bring your business plan if you don't have one yet, and if it's not completed, that's okay, right? But plan on that meeting, them working with you through that business plan process and giving you some insight as to, right, the best next steps for you to move forward. And they're going to tell you very likely the same things that I told you here today, which is that, don't get distracted. Don't focus on the things that don't matter. But the big step you'll be taking here by scheduling that is you're getting yourself in the right room with the right people. You don't have to live in that room forever, right? Even if it's just one meeting, right? There's a massive amount of benefit just from that 30 minutes of time that you're going to be able to spend with somebody like Bonnie, Dawn, or Eric. And I think that's where I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. So hopefully this was something that was helpful. Hopefully you guys have the same fire under you that I have. I'm ready to kind of kick this thing off. And I think it's recovered me from my jet lag from all this miserable traveling I had to do. Because I'm fired up. I'm certainly fired up. It's not often I'm able to fire myself up like this, but I'm feeling really, really excited. Awesome, guys. But yeah, definitely awesome. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow. So tomorrow's Wake Up Legendary is going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be something I don't think we've ever done before on Wake Up Legendary. It's going to be really, really, really cool. Not going to spoil it for you. I'm going to leave that cliffhanger open so you can just kind of wonder and sort of think about what could it possibly be. That's going to be so incredible. It's going to be pretty cool. So definitely tune back in tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern time, and we will be right here. I will be right here, and everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Go get after it. Have a good day. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you again soon.